France
Yes.
because there's your dad.
Hello.
Hey guys.
And
Why are we coming to the
also,
live from Nice,
I,
France? Are you gonna tell why?
this is my first week back because last time I wasn't
Oh, yeah,
here,
you
so
weren't
I
here.
wasn't feeling well. Hey Aaron, how you doing, man?
He was sick.
Good to see you. Yeah, I was
Now-
sick last week.
Now we're both sick.
Now we're both sick.
Okay, but sorry,
I'm
babe.
doing better than I was.
I'm trying to help you with your career, babe. Why are we coming? Sorry.
Why are we here? We are here.
Hi, Catherine.
Catherine.
Hey.
I'm in Nice because we're rehearsing the Arrodante over in Monte Carlo. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That
Opens
was-
on February 22nd.
That was terrible.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to say?
You're supposed to say.
It's amazing. Actually, this group.
It's the
It's
production from the
extraordinary.
Salzburg Festival,
Hey, Catherine.
starring Cecilia
Cecilia
Bartoli.
Bartoli. And
that's why you're here.
That's why we're
Hi,
here. It's got Christophe Dumont and Catherine Muck and Sandrine Pio and Mark.
Hey, Mark.
We're going to see you guys soon.
Yes.
And yeah, it's going very well. We're doing well. I'm feeling better. Thank you, Catherine.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna. It's going really well though. I mean, it's a great production. So and it's going fast, and we're just moving through it. So it'll be open before you know it.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I had a really busy week, a great week.
huge.
I had auditions in London and Bordeaux, and there's Hannah. Hey, Hannah. And a meeting in Paris for a project that I'm not going to say yet what it is, but it's a very exciting new project. And
It's awesome.
yeah. And so now I'm a little bit sick
Yep.
because I've been in a lot of planes and trains and taxis and subways, and it's just been a busy week,
Exactly.
but a really good week. And so we wanted to just do a
This
shorter
week also.
video.
We do a short video this week. We're doing a two-parter. These
Yes.
are our glasses this week.
Yeah, these are, well, we're in a rental.
Yeah, we're in a
so
rental.
It's not our
place.
stuff.
This
These
is not our
cute
stuff,
little
but
dips.
these are nice.
My sister likes our cup thing.
I like-
so.
Oh yes,
yeah.
so we keep it. Okay, we keep the cup thing.
So, yeah. One of the main questions that the younger singers have asked about is about agents, like how do I get an agent and stuff like that, stuff surrounding that.
And you get a lot of mixed stuff because there's some people that find agents fine, and there are other people who really dislike agents.
Yeah.
and-
But you do need.
But you need an agent.
So-
you just need one. Hey, I feel well, Mark. Thank you. Getting better every day.
I feel medium.
She feels medium. She's the one that's not feeling as well now. I'm the one who's feeling
but
better.
I just need
now.
a day or two of rest and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right, so we made some notes, and I think we're going to do this in two parts because we have been traveling a lot this week, and we want to prepare really well for this topic because it's a really important topic. Hi, Mariana. And so I think we just wanted to do a framework for how singers can think about the function of an agent and get themselves in the right frame of mind, right?
Yeah, the right perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to know from the beginning. Actually, it helps a lot. And I didn't when I first started working with my manager, the first manager I had, who was great.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing, no clue, and so
Yes.
it put more on him actually than. It just put everything on him because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to think about
Yes.
what needed to be created and all that. So it's very important actually because Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing when I was making notes about this on the road was like, what is the job of an agent? Because I think a lot of singers would say, well, the job of an agent is to get me work. And it is. But I think it's important to remember that an agent, hey, there's Chris Goins. Hey, Chrissy.
Chris.
The job of an agent is to sell singers. I mean, that's, I don't know, right? That's,
Yeah, it's just to sell. It's to sell, and then you have to create. There has to be what you're working on now, and there has to be where you're going. So there has to be that ability to be where you are at this point, and then be able to project where you want to go, what you want to be doing, the repertoire, all of that. And so it can
yeah,
be tricky,
that goes
but
into
it's-
this,
and it-
this
goes into
point
selling.
because like it's not purely, it's not just that they sell something like I don't know, like somebody who would sell a car, obviously.
Yeah.
They have to believe in your talent. They have to also see you as being profitable for their business. So there's a lot that goes into that. And of course they have to believe in you, and some voices take longer than others to pay out, sorry for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But I want to focus on what we as singers can do to get the most out of that relationship. And so I've got some questions that I was wanting the young singers to just think about this week when we get more into the topic next week. The first one, right, because I think there's a lot of focus on just, do I have a good voice? And you always say something marvelous about that.
Which part?
Well, that
I've said so many marvelous things that it's hard to just remember.
Well, no, that's obvious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That talent. I mean, talent is. If you're not talented, you're not doing this job.
Yeah.
So talent is important, and obviously we have to have it. But if you're not talented, you're not doing the job. So we have to identify the talent, but then we have to move on to developing it and what needs to be done with it in order to produce or to perform or whatever, however you want to phrase it. And so that's the talent's the bottom line, and then you go from there.
Like,
but if you just stay here,
it's a starting point. Yeah, and so like for you younger singers, the question you have to ask yourself is, okay, if I, get a manager, do I have a product to sell that they can sell?
Hey, Matt Rose, how are you, man?
And because that is partly what an agent is thinking about when they're evaluating you. Of course, if you're an exciting talent and you have this amazing voice, and I'm sure you all do, so that's the baseline. But then they have to see in terms of your development, in terms of several factors, which we'll get into another time. Is this going to be a profitable relationship? And sorry, like that's just true. And
that
so,
goes both ways.
Yes, but they are like literally thinking about a bottom line.
Yeah, totally.
Especially with bigger corporate structures. I mean, that's getting into something else. So ask yourself, when you're a young singer and you're starting out, like, is this clearly defined? Do I know what kind of a singer I am? Do I know what my repertoire is? Because these are the kind of questions they are going to ask you if you get to the point where you actually have a meeting with someone and they're curious about signing you. You need to know for yourself, this is the kind of singer I am, this is the kind of repertoire I do. You can have even projections about your career, although you can't necessarily predict what's going to happen, but it's just good to be thinking that way. So then their job is clearly defined and they can run with it. And it's not just them, all on them having to
do everything.
Figure out what to do with you.
Yeah.
If you
I'm a person that has not always defined myself well. I've relied too heavily on other people to do it for me. And so I had to learn how to do that. And I'm actually coming in now, even at my age, to a point where I'm actually starting now to know who I actually am as a singer, even more so than I was before. Even though my repertoire was defined and all of that was clear, there's actually more clarity now than there has ever been, and so it's interesting.
But I think if you can develop that kind of thinking early on,
the sooner the better.
It'll help your manager because they're going to be strapped. They're going to have lots of other singers, depending on what kind of agency you end up in. They're going to have conductors and stage directors and who knows who else. And so as clear as you can be, that helps their job go a lot more easily. Easier. And I'm just seeing my notes here. You have to really be able to evaluate yourself and know where you are. And that is very difficult because you're still learning who you are as a human being. I mean, and that never stops.
Yep.
So it's very tricky. I think that in schooling, we're all taught to aim for like the same level, but the truth is that that's not realistic. It just isn't. And there's lots of different kinds of opera houses, lots of different kinds of jobs, and there's lots of different kinds of managers. And so you being able to evaluate yourself healthfully will determine what kind of agent that you actually need,
Yeah.
what kind of contacts they need to have for you to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that will make it clearer
Well, that's
for
huge.
them.
I mean, you know, because the developmental aspects are so important, then making as much as you can, being sure on what level you're going into, as far as the level of work, the repertoire, all of that. If you're put in the wrong context too soon, some people go into those contexts and just destroy it and tear it up, and it's amazing. Other people go into those contexts, and it can be on any level, and it is too much, and it's hurtful. And so being able to say, okay, I actually need to be here right now working on this part, either working on my voice or this repertoire or whatever, but I need to not be at this level, I need to be at this level. That can be huge, because that's going to help you develop the right ways, and it's going to keep you healthier in the long term, which is a lot of what we're talking about. You've got to find ways to stay healthy. And it's not just vocal health, it is mental health, it is emotional health, it is physical health.
Yes.
You've got to be healthy to do this. And so it's an important aspect.
Yes.
So
Yeah, no, I think we covered that, but I want you guys this week to be thinking about that, because I think it'll save you a lot of turmoil. To say, like, you know, this is where I am, this is the kind of repertoire I sing, I believe I can sing it at this level, and hopefully, I think anybody who's like engaged with our videos, they're probably pretty good at reading themselves. So I would trust that you're able to do that, and it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that'll make your manager's job eventually, when you have your manager or your existing manager you have now, it'll make their job a lot easier.
Yep.
And they can also help you and guide you in that. But if you have at least some kind of an idea, that is going to also show them that you're serious and engaged, and that you're not just feeling like you're entitled to a career because you have a good voice. And sorry if it makes somebody mad, but like, you know, there's a billion great voices in the world. So this kind of definition will set you apart. I think the number one thing people were asking is like, how do I get an agent?
Yeah. That's always a really funny question, because it's kind of, there's not really a formula to getting an agent.
I mean, I listed some of the obvious ones.
And they're good. I mean, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, but there isn't.
But there's not really a formula to it. It's you can do it in certain ways. You can, hey Zebby, you can, you know, do you want to do this, or?
Hey, there's Mina.
Oh, hey Mina.
Oh, Chrissy. Oh, Chrissy, you're in New York, right? Yeah, love you too. That's awesome.
Bye.
Our friend Chris, she's
awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, there are kind of the traditional things. You know, you can do. Do you want to read the?
Yeah, I mean, okay.
You're the one
so
that made
like,
the list, so
okay,
you
so I
read
mean,
the list.
you already know. You all know the obvious ones. If you do a big competition and you do well on that, agents will be there and they will hear you, and you don't necessarily have to win.
Yeah.
They just have to like your voice, and they hear you, and they can, you know, imagine working with you. That's one. Another one is if you already have shows and you're not necessarily signed. I know some of you that are watching have some interesting engagements coming, but you don't have a manager yet. Hint for any of you managers that are watching, hello, like they've got some good work on their own. So maybe you should like ask me who those people are.
That's funny.
But if you're in a show and somebody approaches you afterwards, you know, it's a good way to, sorry, my cold medicine is like, what? Okay. Young artist programs, that's how you got your first agent.
Got my first agent.
I know people that have written into agencies. That's probably the least effective way, because they get, our manager can't watch today because he's actually watching Die Valkyrie, but he could probably tell us how many hundreds of those he gets per week.
They get,
so you all know all of that. The more elusive ways to getting an agent are through building your personal relationships.
and that's what this business is. Yeah.
it is your relationships.
Yeah.
That's also how your manager is getting you work.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's about you and having a great voice, but their contacts that they build up over time are going to also determine where their singers work.
Oh yeah, I mean it's and now I mean now especially it's funny now, it's tricky because so many people it's email, it's not necessarily
That's how people are communicating.
communicating.
Yeah.
We communicate with text messages or emails, and that's great and that's fine. But that has to be based on something, which is developing the relationships to actually. So when there is something written in, if it is an email or a text or something like that, then it means something because that person. Oh yeah, I know. Whatever.
Yeah.
And so as a singer, building up the ability to. With your manager, and then obviously if you're looking for a manager, being able to relate to people in a good way is it's a huge thing because when you go into any situation, if it's a manager, if it's in a work setting, people react,
And that's
we
what,
respond.
This is with any business.
That's any business. Any business. That's true.
It's
any
all
business.
about cultivating those relationships, and not in a way that you're even trying to get something.
Mm-hmm.
People are just people, and every person, if
Really
you know,
important.
if you know how to ask questions, every
Really
person
important.
is interesting. You just have to be disciplined to know how to ask a pointed question, and you will have an interesting conversation if you learn how to do that. That's another topic, but I would say that the most effective way, if you're not going to do any of these super obvious things, competition shows, young artist programs, whatever, is built on your interpersonal relationships, and that is going to probably be the way that most people get their first managers is by knowing somebody in the business. And
actually, you made a good point earlier about this. Is when if you're depending on where you live, where you are. You said it. I mean, maybe you want to make the point. It was about if you're in show business in the United States, and you're from I don't know, Iowa, and you need to really get involved in the business, you don't stay in Iowa. You go to the places where the most opportunities are. And that's New York, it's LA, etc. It's places like that.
Exactly.
Take that, and so there's a similar thing to what we do. You've got to.
Yes.
Sorry, finish that.
No, that's
you
no,
made
you're
the
good.
point.
No,
So
I mean
wanted you to finish.
it's it's not going to be comfortable in the beginning, especially if you. How much of the work is in Europe? Like 99% of the work in this business is in Europe. And so if you don't have any contacts in Europe, you will have to come over here and spend some time over here, and probably you want to already, and that's not even an issue for you. But you will have to spend time meeting people and cultivating relationships and gaining the trust of people, not just as a singer, but also as a person. Because eventually, once you start rolling, you're just seeing the same people all the time. It's just kind of cyclical that way. And actually it's great because there are a lot of really wonderful people in this business, and so you get to see them regularly. So it's just really important that you build those up for yourself. That will help your agent also. If you have your list of contacts and they have their list of contacts, eventually somehow it's going to intersect and result in work for you. So it is very important that you do that, and that you aren't fully just relying on the person that you hire an agent, that you sign with.
Collaboratively.
Yes. And I think those are the main points we wanted to make for this week, for things for you to think about. And next week we want to talk about what does that relationship look like? How does it look when it's functional? What can you do to up the functionality of the relationship? Anything else? We're going to talk to our managers, and then also I've got a friend who's a manager in Canada that I was going to consult with. I had wanted to do that this week, but it just got too busy with all the traveling and everything. And so I didn't get a chance to prepare the way I wanted to. But we wanted to make sure we just hopped on here really quickly, talk to you all about
Give a
this stuff.
foundation for it, and then we
Yeah, and get you
talk about it
thinking,
next
get you
week.
thinking this way. So, and if anybody has any questions, we'll be happy to answer them right now. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep this one short today because I have to just rest a little bit.
Yep.
Hey, it's Christine
Hello,
Buffel.
Christine.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm sorry,
All
this
right.
one's really short.
Sorry, this one's short.
But it just is what it is this week, and I'm gonna be I'm gonna be fully healthy and better next week, and
Ready
we
to
will
tear
have.
it up.
Yeah, I mean, also I don't want to start babbling because like
Oh yeah, I mean me neither. I
Yeah.
mean, you can. We have to stay focused on what we're talking about. So
But this week, you know, guys, think about this. If there's something like really pertinent that anybody wants to know about getting a manager, cultivating that relationship, the functionality of it,
Yep.
write to us and we will address it. Otherwise, we are going to speak to you out of our experiences, which is what we're doing anyway. And yeah, I think that's it.
you're welcome, Catherine.
I think that's it for me today.
That's it for me. I mean, I think
right.
that's
Well, then-
that's a good. Oh, when is the right time to get
An agent, right? Okay, so that is fair enough. I think that I don't know if you were here the first couple of points, but the right time to get. Yeah, thank you, Erin.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Erin.
it. Oh, cool. Well, Christine, you already know everything we just said.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
Exactly.
We appreciate the support. The right time, Mariana, to get an agent is when you have something for them to
Use.
use. So, and that's going to be different for each individual singer. You know, there was a time the last few years when my voice was going through what it went through. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the last video. There's my cousin Patini, and you will see what I'm talking about. But there was a time where I had a lot of potential, but the voice was not cohesive enough yet to really sell in the repertoire that is mine.
Yeah.
And it took a good amount of time until it was consistent, because one of the problems, and this goes back to our video on auditions also, is you want to be having consistent auditions, and that's part of your agent's job, is to get you auditions. So if you're not sure you're going to be consistent in audition, they send you. The lousy thing about that is that those opportunities don't necessarily come back around for a while.
Depending.
That's where, you know, you record yourself, you play it for people you trust, you talk to an agent, they will tell you honestly, and if all of that intersects, then it's time for you to get a manager and do your auditions and hopefully get your first engagements.
Which you will eventually. That's the one thing about
Love you, Christine.
auditions.
Bless you.
You gotta keep going.
Yes.
Gotta keep going.
So that's when you know it's time. And I think you know, I mean, I was always very ambitious and really wanted to sing and would plow through anyway, but
Yeah.
definitely what I can do now is far better than what I could do 2 years ago. As much as I, you know, wanted to definitely go forward 2 years ago, this is a better time.
Yeah. This goes into the I think this goes into the evaluating, and you have to be able to, if it's, you know, yourself, which it will be partly be yourself, or the people that you have to advise you, your coaches, your voice teachers, your voice teacher, etc. To be able to evaluate where you are and say, yes, now's the time. I had a conversation early in my career about these very things, about, okay, well, it's not time for me to do this now. Let's delay it a while. And then what I did is I prepared myself, and so by the time it was, okay, now it's the time, go. And that's when things turned around for me. And that's another story. But evaluation is important because of this with your agent. I mean, if it's with your advisors or when you have your agent and you're working towards something, it's that kind of evaluation that's important. So
Yeah, it's a really good question.
this is a good question.
Very good. Is that it?
Is that everybody?
We don't want to leave anybody hanging. All right.
Yeah.
Well, write to us this week if there's something that you really, really, really want to know about agents,
Yeah.
if there's a specific question. Otherwise, we are going to sort of do a general overview of how to have an effective relationship with your agent. I think we covered the basics about how you get one, because that
Yeah,
is
getting
sort of-
one is kind of, it's weird.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Mariana. It's a very
Yeah,
nebulous kind of
yeah.
topic. It's tricky,
It's not, oh, you do this and you get an agent. That's not how it works.
and
So,
yeah, personal relationships. That's
huge.
We're trying
That's
to
the
drive
best.
that one home.
That's the best. That's the best.
And this, I covered this, right? Yeah, that we don't need to cover that again.
Well, we can talk about that. I mean, that'll come back
Yeah,
up.
okay.
Next, yeah.
All right, guys, we love you guys. We
Thanks for watching.
are excited to be together
Everybody.
again.
Woohoo!
It was a long week not together,
Yay!
but now we are. And if anybody is able to come to see Norman's show in Monaco, you should do that. When's the opening?
It's going to be good.
22nd?
February 22nd.
Yeah.
22, 24, 26, 28
Yes.
of February. And it's good to see you too. Right now,
Coming back to Kentucky.
I'm not coming back to Kentucky,
No.
but I love Kentucky and I would be happy to come back to Kentucky. But right
Kentucky's
now I
beautiful.
can't. I don't have time to come back.
Yeah.
But if I have a reason, I will come back to Kentucky. So,
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Guys, have a wonderful Sunday. We will
Great.
catch up with
Happy
you next
Sunday.
week. Probably,
Happy week.
Probably on Saturday or Sunday next week.
yeah, probably.
I don't know. And we'll do a better job of letting you know when we're going live.
Yeah, this has
because
been a hectic
Yeah,
week.
this was it was so much.
Yeah.
Those
No.
of you who know us well know, like, yeah, there was a lot.
That's how I looked all week.
That's how I looked all week.
And I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
Well, I was working, but I wasn't doing anything else.
Yeah. Oh. All right, you guys, have a wonderful weekend,
All right.
and we will catch up.